Hello and welcome. It is Nomadic Shaman here. Thank you for visiting my page. Today's video, I want to talk about soul contracts and how they work. Now, soul contracts can also be referred to soul agreements, and they work very similarly to how contracts work and operate on the earthly plane. So as above, so below. Above is below. Okay, and when I say that, I am talking about if you want to make additions by way of addendums to the contract, you can do that. Modifications to the contract, you can do that. If there are certain aspects you want to strike through because you're not in agreement with, you can do that too. Or if you want to drop a whole new contract, okay, and throw the old one out the window, you can do that too. A perfect example of that would be twin flames, okay, especially if the two of you agree to come into union and for some reason they acting crazy and you're saying bump this and you're selecting or opting for a new soulmate. Okay, that could be part of the original contract and one of the twin flames went awry, went completely detoured up in this bitch. Okay, and you're at this point where you're like, okay, let me create a new contract. That's an example of going off the path from the initial agreement. Now, speaking about soul contracts, agreements, what do you agree to? Well, your name, so your first, middle, and last name, your parents, the family that you're born to, the conditions that you're born under. You are also agreeing to you choose your sex, race, gender, even down to your sexual orientation, the city, the country that you're going to live in. You also choose if you want to come through with a disability, whether it's physical or intellectual. You select your lessons that you're looking to learn, as well as your purpose and your mission, both your life and your soul purpose and mission. You select your challenges, your struggles, your obstacles. I mean, all that. Okay, you agree upon, and that is in turn the soul contract. Now, let's say if you're wanting to incarnate on the earthly plane and you want to have the earthly experience, but you're just not about that human life, you're like, y'all can have that. Well, there are soul beings who want to experience the earthly, on the earthly plane, so a physical reality. But so they may come in as pets, as animals, as plants, as wildlife, as one of the four elements, one of the five elements, certain parts of the body. Okay? Because you have to understand that everything is awareness and consciousness. And I'm going to give you an example. There was a time where I was meditating. I was in deep meditation, and then I heard, we are sentient beings. Okay, followed by like a flash, like a video flash, my third eye, a vision of my plants in my dining room area. Okay, followed by, water me, please water me. Okay, so that's when I knew, one, I was able to communicate with plants. But then two, that's when I knew that, or discovered that plants are sentient beings. And I'm not sure where science is with that, as far as the lockdown discovery, but if they're not there yet, it will come, where they will announce that plants are indeed sentient beings, okay? Wildlife, but actually everything is, because everything is awareness and consciousness, okay? Now, the other part, if I didn't mention that aside from, plants, they do come in as, insects and animals and pets, okay? Now, moving on or moving forward, so why do souls want to incarnate on the earthly plane? Why do people want to have the earthly experience? The first part is the physicality of it. Earth is so dense, you get to experience the physical reality. Okay, so you're a spiritual being living out a physical existence, which provides an opportunity to gain wisdom in how does one transcend their physical limitations. The other part of it is is to level up by way of experience, by way of knowledge through experience, which is wisdom. Okay, there are a lot of baby souls, younger souls who may want to level up as far as soul expansion, evolution, and growth. And because school, my spiritual team, jokingly refers to Earth as School of the Hard Knocks, a lot of souls come here if they want to accelerate quickly by way of many experiences. They come to Earth. They come to Earth. Okay, to do that, to gain that wisdom, to gain that knowledge for expansion of their consciousness and awareness. Okay, so that's a few reasons, or a couple of reasons rather, why souls come to incarnate on the earthly plane, on the physical plane. The last part I wanted to add before I wrap up was, so how do they do it? How do they do it? Real quickly, before I get into how do they do it, another reason why souls come in to incarnate is to learn, let's say they want to learn specific reasons. So let's say they came incarnate on the earth. They're like, all right, I'm good on earth, have experiences elsewhere. And then decide, well, I want to finish what I started because I don't feel like I've truly have gained that lesson. To which, if they want to complete a certain lesson as far as like a checking of the box, or, finish what they started, they will reincarnate with the same energy signature, okay, to finish out that theme in order to gain the wisdom. So that's another reason. How do they do it? Well, my spiritual team basically showed me a table where it's like a round table, and you're meeting with other soul beings, your soul tribe, your soul family. You're meeting with your higher self, not just your higher self, your higher selves, because we have multiple higher selves and they all affect each other. You're also meeting with, other soul beings, higher selves, right? And what this is called is the oversoul. The oversoul is a collective. It's a collective of soul beings that you are either one, going to incarnate on the earthly plane, or you're going to cross them as far as having some type of experience with them. I forgot to include, this also includes ancestors, spirit guides, spirit animals, and angels, archangels, and everything else in between. They're part of this whole roundtable discussion. So let's say you as a soul being are right across your adversary or your enemy, your opposition, because they're at the round table too. But at the round table, y'all cool. It's when you incarnate on earth, you know what I'm saying? Y'all forget that y'all were cool. And then now, things want to go crazy. But for the sake of this example, you're at the round table and you're saying, you know what? I don't feel like I truly learned the lesson or grasped the lesson on self-love. So that's something that I want to learn when I incarnate on the earthly plane. And your enemy or adversaries are just like, bet, I got you. You know what I'm saying? So then that's an agreement that's being made. Okay, let's say to the point. So let me add this. So let's say when you incarnate on the earthly plane, you find yourself in, you're born into, earth, and let's say that your father, you experienced having a father for a year or two, and then he abandons you, like he's no longer in your life. This is like the breeding ground to cultivate what the lessons that you are to learn, as well as, the challenges and obstacles that you are to face in learning that lesson. Because it's always like micro lessons under major lessons. That's usually how it works. It's very layered. So that's your first experience in learning, the value of self-love and forgiveness. But let's say you didn't quite get it. So then you find yourself with, let's say, Soul B at the round table and say, hey, if you don't get it at this stage or age of your life, I'm going to come in to make sure you get it. Okay? But I'm going to come in a little bit harder. So then next thing you know, you find yourself in a relationship with somebody that reminds you of your father. Okay? But not only that, they're mentally abusive, they're physically abusive, they're emotionally abusive, to the point where, you are triggered and you've awakened to, I don't need this shit. Like, I'm better than this. Like, I deserve better. And you choose to exit stage left. In that experience, you have awakened to self-love. Now, we always know that this is a journey, but you've awakened to that. So that's an example of how that can work or that can play out. And then let's say that by the second soul soul B, that you haven't learned that lesson quite yet, then soul C is just like, well, if you haven't learned about, by soul B, I'm going to come in through this stage and I'm going to come in harder. And this could be packaged up differently. This could be a family member. This can be a work environment, a business, a colleague. You know what I'm saying? Because you have toxic employees and toxic clients as well. So, but it's an opportunity for you to gain that lesson in self-love as far as what you are going to accept, what type of treatment that you're going to accept or tolerate, and what you're going to basically chalk the juices to, right? Right? So that's an example of what the round table discussion may look like, in that who you are experiencing on the earthly plane to be your enemy, your opposition, your adversary, y'all cool. When y'all making that soul agreement initially, everybody's cool, everybody's kumbaya. Okay, so that wraps up my video for today. I hope you found it helpful. Feel free to comment, like, share, and follow. And until the next one, I'm out.